Hi guys, good morning. Suresh here.
Good morning, Suresh.
Good morning, Suresh.
Good morning, Suresh.
Morning guys, morning one and all. So guys, in our session yesterday, the day one is where we started having an understanding about the SuccessFactors portfolio of solutions. So what are the modules that we have, and in that particularly the curriculum, what we are focusing on, the top three modules of SuccessFactors in the name of Employee Central, Recruiting, and Performance Management. And before we get into those modules, the way we start with some introduction to mastery level things, which gives you the foundational knowledge. And then at the end of the program, we also look into the reporting part, is what we have seen. And we started having an understanding about the cloud model of SuccessFactors, the way the SuccessFactors being called as a cloud-based solution, what does it actually makes a difference when compared to any other solutions in the market. So the cloud-based approach in which we remotely host the data and access the data on demand whenever we require is what a cloud model, or also called as SaaS model. And that remote locations where the client databases are hosted are called data centers. And we have around 15 data centers where SAP is operating the global customer databases today across the globe, is what we have discussed. And also on some context of the advantages that we see with the cloud-based solutions as well, in terms of the cost effectiveness for in terms of the maintenance of the hardware, the licensing model, the frequent updates that we get with the applications, and the way how we have this product accessible across the devices. So over the internet, any point of time, anywhere you can log in and you can access it over the mobile apps. You have it supported in both Android and iOS version, is what we have discussed. And then we had an introduction into the systems. So what are the systems of SuccessFactors that we work as a consultant during the project implementation, which is the provisioning and instance. So provisioning is a backend, we say, where only the consultant, only a certified SuccessFactors consultant will be accessing that system. And that is a system where you do all the activations. Provisioning level, we do not do any configurations. It's all about the activations that we do in the provisioning. That is one we have discussed. And then we have the instance system where we do the actual configurations. The 85% of your project work is all concentrated on the instance side of the system. That is one we have discussed, where in the instance, you have the access to the end users also. So once the project has been completed after say 6 months or 1 year, you have done the project and now you hand over the project to the client. So the employees of the client will start using the SuccessFactors system on the instance side. That is the thing. So this way we have the two systems, and we also had a look and feel of the systems, how they look like. Already yesterday we have got a chance to look at them, where so every individual in the company, from the basics, basic general employee in the company, followed by leaders, the executive management, head of the departments, HRs, everybody can have a login into the SuccessFactors system, and that depends upon the access levels. So what they perform in the system depends upon the access levels actually. So everything is controlled through permissioning. So this is about the introduction about the system that we had, and we had an opportunity to look into few navigations. So how does the profile look like? How does the org chat look like? We have seen, and we also had a chance to look at the provisioning system where we do few activations and all. The look and feel of a provisioning system, which is all about just making checkbox activations. So this is a summary of the discussions we had in yesterday's session primarily. And in our agenda today, we are going to start discussing on the implementation methodology of SuccessFactors. So when you involve in a SuccessFactors implementation project, so the way how you have the phases of the project covered, right from beginning to ending, all the stages of implementation is what an implementation methodology we say. So that is important that you have to know. Along with the technical knowledge, you should also know the overview of the project life cycle in a SuccessFactors implementation, what happens in each and every stage on an overall. So that's what we are going to focus now. So that's the agenda we start with, and later we'll be looking into the day one activities. Whenever you are allocated to a project, what are your day one activities of SuccessFactors implementation? Even that we'll be looking at. So before that, any questions from anyone on the previous topics?
Yeah, Suresh. Surya here.
Yeah, so yeah, please go ahead.
So we were discussing yesterday about the activations, right? Regarding the activations, are there any default activations we use when choosing a module, or will it depend on the scenario to scenario?
Yeah, so definitely there will be some minimum mandatory activations irrespective of the client's requirement. If they say they are wanting this module, so minimum mandatory activations will definitely be there. On top of it, client specific, whether they are looking for this particular feature or not, this particular functionality or not. So some additional customization will also be there. So that is for each module. What are those set of activations? We'll get to know in our down the line discussions.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay, sounds good. And now, gentlemen, to start with this activate methodology. So SuccessFactors implementation methodology is what we call as SAP Activate. That's a recommended methodology from SAP, in which it is basically cut down into 4 different stages. It comprises of 4 important stages from prepare to deploy. So prepare, explore, realize, and deploy are the 4 important stages of this implementation methodology that we have. So we should now have an understanding of what is the consultant's role or what happens in each and every phase of the project. In that, if we have to start discussing from the prepare phase, so that is a phase where, frankly, consultant is not involved. The prepare phase is all about a management level. Okay, so now in the example, Coca-Cola as a company is going to implement SuccessFactors, and they approach some IT companies, Accenture, Wipro, IBM, Deloitte. They go to some IT companies. So now once this discussions have started, so the IT companies will give their proposal of the project, like in how many months they can deliver the project, in what costing they can do the project. Okay, all that details will be there. So in this process, once Coca-Cola has finalized one vendor, so whether they have to go with Accenture, Wipro, Deloitte, whatever in their costing calculations and all, once they are finalized. So example, we decide with IBM. So now IBM is doing the project for Coca-Cola. So now the project agreements, the SOW documents, which we call as scope of work. SOW is called a scope of work document and all, will be finalized in the prepare phase, in which, so for which countries are we implementing, which modules are we implementing, how many language packs we have to activate, and any other discussions in terms of the timeline of the project, how many consultants are going to be deployed. So in terms of the timeline, when is the start date of the project, the testing period, the go live period, all this is going to be finalized in the prepare phase, the documentation level. So each and everything is going to be agreed between the client and the implementation partner. So implementation partner means these IT companies. So that's an agreement. The documentation happens at a management level. So that's where consultant is not yet involved in that stage. So once all the documentation is finalized and they are starting the project, that's where the explore phase starts with. So explore phase is where we have to have the requirement gathering done. So that's where the consultants will be introduced. So how many modules are being implemented? For each module, minimum 1 separate consultant will be allocated, gentlemen. Remember that. So if there are 3 modules implemented, 3 consultants will be there. If there are 5 modules, 5 consultants minimum. Per module, if they want to assign more than 1 consultant, that's okay. That can still be done. But for each module, 1 individual consultant will definitely be assigned in the project. And that's where we have the explore phase, in which these consultants who are allocated to the project will start having the discussions and the meetings with the HR department of the customer. So now if Coca-Cola is the client, so with the Coca-Cola's HR department, these consultants will start having the requirement gathering discussions where they start understanding the customer's existing system. What is their existing HR system, their processes, policies, what are the pain areas in their old existing system, so that how can we address that in SuccessFactors, and to carry out the SuccessFactors configurations, what all additional inputs we require, all the discussions as is system and the to be SuccessFactors system related, all the requirements will be discussed. So that by the end of the explore phase, where this can actually run between 3 to 6 weeks. So minimum 3 weeks to 6 weeks of requirement gathering sessions can run in a project. So once that period is done, everything has been agreed and documented. That's where the realize phase starts. And realize is the biggest phase of the project, gentlemen. Realize phase is every time considered the biggest phase, wherein which you have the different stages of, wherein which you have the complete configurations done by the consultants. So whether the consultancy is going to take 3 months for the configuration, 5 months or 6 months, whatever is the period the consultants are sitting on the system and configuring it, that is the realize phase. Within the realize phase, the testing is also done. The client side testing, not the consultant testing. Client to do the testing is also going to be carried out in the realize phase. So realize phase is the lengthiest phase in the project. So both consultant side configuration and the client side testing happens. So by the end of the realize phase, once the client has confirmed all the testing is fine and all the scenarios are working, then we get the final system, the client's production system get ready. So getting the final system of the client ready is called the deploy phase. So you keep you start moving all the configurations from the development testing systems to the final production system. As we have seen the landscape of systems yesterday, we have development, testing, production as 3 different systems. So we get the configurations deployed into the final production system in this deploy phase. So let me open that Excel that we have seen yesterday. Just a moment. So if you see this, as we have seen this landscape of systems that we come across. So in the realize phase, where I say the consultants will be doing the configuration and the client will do the testing. So these first 2 environments, the development environment and the testing environment, are covered in the realize phase. So consultants will do the configurations and copy all the configurations to the testing in this testing or the quality QA system, wherever. So this system level, the client will do the testing. Once they agree everything is where that is the end of realize phase, and it starts the deploy phase. So moving all the configurations from the testing system to the final production system, the live system, is what that period is what we call it as a deploy phase of the project, where that can again run between 3 weeks to 6 weeks. So what do we do in that period is that, so we start copying all the configurations to the production. Along with the configurations, we should set up all the roles and authorizations in the system so that tomorrow once the users are starting to use the system, so we should be making sure that everybody has their own restricted access, so that permissioning and bulk uploads of data. So today, if Coca-Cola is implementing SuccessFactors, definitely before this, they would have been having some other old software. So from that old previous HR system, you have to do a one-time migration of all the data into SuccessFactors, a one-time migration. So that happens through bulk uploads of data. So bringing all the existing employee database from their old HR system to SF, that bulk uploads of data and all is what happens in the deploy phase in the process of preparing the production system. So to carry out all these activities is where we have a deploy phase as a period that can run between 3 to 6 weeks on an average. So at the end of deploy phase, where everything is ready, we announce the go live and the customer is going to get the access to the system. The client side, all the employees are going to start using the system. So this is how you have the implementation methodology of SuccessFactors looks like, which is divided into 4 important stages: prepare, explore, realize, and deploy, gentlemen. That is the way. And here, most importantly, what is the difference if you have to say when it compares to you label it as SAP Activate methodology in SuccessFactors when you give that title, and when you compare with any other methodologies in the market, like there are projects that happen in Java, Oracle, .NET, various technologies. How is it different in SAP SuccessFactors? So everywhere initially project management discussions happen, requirement gathering will happen, configuration, testing, and deploy, like getting the production system ready. It's common everywhere. What is it different in SuccessFactors if we have to discuss, guys? That primarily starts in the explore phase. So explore phase, where we say the requirement gathering will happen. In that, generally, in a traditional approach, what it happens is we have a business blueprint document as a concept that comes up. Business blueprint document. So in which the complete client specific requirements will be documented, their different policies, features, functionalities, whatever they expect, their internal policies, related requirements, everything will be documented. And that's something, a Word document of, it ranges between 200 to 500 pages. So a business blueprint document is something that will run for long pages actually. So that is something in every project they have to start from scratch. in every project from scratch, we have to start that requirement gathering process and having that business blueprint document of hundreds of pages to be prepared. So replacing that, SAP comes up with a predefined Excel format in which the requirement has to be taken. A predefined Excel templates, which are called configuration workbooks. Configuration workbooks is what we say, where these are the predefined requirement gathering Excel sheets, which are available in the SAP's official websites. For each and every module, you have a respective template through which you can actually download the templates and you can start doing the requirement gathering with your discussions with the customer. Example, this is one of an example of employee central related requirement gathering sheet, which we call as workbook. And if you see at the bottom, there are multiple sheets within this Excel file. Multiple sheets in which, being a HR system, it is minimum common requirement that we maintain the list of all the departments of the company. Tomorrow, when you're hiring the employee, you should be able to choose employee belongs to IT department or finance department or HR department. I should be able to choose from a list of drop-down values. So that list of departments of the company is what I can collect and maintain in this sheet. So there is one specific tab here in the name of department data. So the name of the department, description, head of the department, like this. With some certain fields, there is a predefined format in which I can take all the customer side department input here. This is one. Similar way, the locations of the company. So the company might have locations across the globe. In India, they have their offices in 5 cities. In US, they have in 5 cities, like that. So what are their locations? You have a dedicated screen for location data also, in which you can capture the location details here. So the name of the location, some description, the time zone of the location, like this, certain fields. So this is about the master data collection. Apart from this, tomorrow when you're going to maintain that data in the system, so now how does that department setup in the system looks like? A standard SuccessFactors department screenshot will also be given. So a department, when you set up a department in the system, it's not simply a label, human resource, information technology, finance, not just simply a label. You have to maintain all these attributes. So effective means the date on which this department started in your business. So your business might be started in 1960s. But right from day one, every department might not be applicable. So when your company is expanding, you might have got new departments. So for every department, what is the start date? A unique code for every department is what we can decide ourselves. So like every employee will have an employee ID. For that, every department, every location can have a unique ID that we can give alphanumeric. Then the name of the department, some description about the department, who is the head of the department. As on date today, is this department active or that department is no longer active in your company? So that status, all these details can be set up in the system. So this way, one department creation screen will have certain set of fields and you fill all these and you save is one department has been properly set up. So this to be set up. Now, when you showcase the screen saying that this is how the standard department screen looks like in SF, clients can start coming up with their requirements. Like they might say, make this name as mandatory, remove this description field, we don't want it. Head of the department is also something, make it mandatory, or add one more some other custom field. Like this, different changes they can ask, label changes, mandatory conditions, and they can ask you about adding custom fields, multiple things. So each and every such requirement is what you can document in the same Excel sheet on the left hand side. All the standard SF given fields will be given, SF standard fields. So now for this, any customer specific label, you see column H. They want us to relabel any field. We can record the customer given label here exactly on the column H in detail. And which field to be mandatory, non-mandatory, you have yes or no against every field that you can record. The length of the fields. So how many characters of input that field can accept, the length of the fields. Like this, each and every requirement can be granularly recorded. Every small thing, the length, the mandatory condition, label, everything granularly you can record in these Excel sheets. And any additional validations the client is expecting against a field level, you have customer comments as a column in which you can write elaborative requirements here in the comments. And on top of it, if it's a new custom field to be added, at the bottom you have a place for adding custom fields as well. So here they just give you one row to highlight. You can add custom fields. You can add multiple. The customer wants to add one custom field or 10 custom fields. You can add any number of. Almost each and every screen of Employee Central will support 70 custom fields. 70 for each and every screen, not overall. So now for the department screen, I can have 70 custom fields. For the location screen, I can have 70 custom fields. That way, we have a customization option up to 70, and that's more than enough. Nobody is going to ask you in one screen 70 custom fields. So this is how the requirement gathering sheets or the Excel documents, which are in the name of workbooks, exist. For each and every module, you have these kinds of workbooks, which are the standard SuccessFactors predefined formats. So the advantage of using these is a lot of time saving. So you have a predefined format, you just have to fill the inputs. You need not start typing everything from the scratch. One thing. Second, you will make sure that everything is covered. The consultant going through each and every Excel sheet here, he will make sure that each and every requirement is discussed. So tomorrow you will not face a situation that I forgot to ask this point with the customer, kind of a situation doesn't exist. If you go through each and every Excel document here, every requirement will be made sure that is covered, what is required to configure the system. So that way we have this Excel workbooks documents as a predefined formats. So this is one of the key differentiator in terms of the Activate methodology when compared to any other project implementation methodologies in the market. The explore phase level, this is one of the key difference. Now, okay, the next difference comes in the realize phase. Third phase in the realize phase where we do the configuration and testing. Here also there is a difference. I'll highlight that. Before that, let me take a couple of questions. Yeah, Soumya.
Yes, can you provide the link to download this workbook?
You will be shared with all the workbooks at a time anyways. So even if I give you the link, you'll not be able to download until you're certified. Okay. Yeah. So now, and there is a question in the chat. Can we change these fields based on customer requirements? Yeah, Varun, as I already mentioned. So definitely you will have an option to relabel the existing fields what were given, or if you want to make addition of new custom fields at the bottom, you can also add that. That's absolutely configurable. Okay. Now coming to the realize phase to also understand what is the difference here in the realize phase. So generally when we say we do the configuration, guys, example, if the team is given with a period of say 4 months for or example say 6 months for configuration, out of 6 months almost 5 months they sit on the configuration, they develop it, and almost in the last month or last 45 days we try to showcase the product to the customer. This has been developed, and then we give it for their testing, all that. Where if you consume almost 80% of your project timeline and then you start giving them the demonstration and give them the testing and all, if the customer says that this is not what I expect, the entire design itself is mismatched, so this is not my expectation, if they say, the entire thing goes on toss. So that's where SF comes with a concept of agile based implementation process, agile methodology. In the agile process, they deliver the progress of the project in a incremental way. This way, it's an agile process where, so whatever are the requirements you have got and whatever is the timeline you have, you can divide it in some intervals. So example, initially once we start the project, say for an initial 5 to 6 weeks, for 45 days, the team can start working on the configurations. Once they start, in this 45 days, they might have achieved initial 25% or 30% of the progress, and they can go in front of the customer on the 6th week and they can demonstrate whatever has been designed till date, so that the client gets a visibility of what's happening and what is a core design that they have started making. All that client will have a chance to have a visualization of it, and if there is any gap in the understanding, here itself in the starting scratch level, they can get it discussed and they can address it without any waste of time till the end of the project. That is one. So now when the client has got the walkthrough of the project, now here they can get some feedback, some changes or requirements that can be discussed. And those pointers can be noted by the consultants. They come back to office, they address those feedback, what was given in the previous meeting, and they work on few more configurations. And again, for 6 weeks, they can work. And again, on some 12th week, they can go in front of the customer for a second round of walkthrough. So by this time, like 65% of the project might have been done, 60 to 65%. So now we will be able to demonstrate a little better product. So this time again, client can have their feedback, their any comments on it. But this time at a second round of walkthrough, the core design change will not be accepted anymore. So here any custom fields added, any changes in the workflows, that can be accommodated. The core design of the approach will not be changed in the second round of meetings that way. So here, whatever feedback we get, again come back to office, address that, and finish the rest of the configurations. And finally, in the third round of walkthrough, again after a few weeks, you go in front of the customer. This time you get a chance to demonstrate the end-to-end product. The complete 100% end-to-end life cycle is what you can demonstrate. And at this stage, any corrections will be in terms of very cosmetic things. The core logics will not be entertained here. Very few things like any small custom fields addition, rearranging of the fields, small change in the workflow can be accommodated, not the complex changes anymore. So that way, the project delivery happens in a agile methodology, in a incremental way, so that we are indirectly involving the client also in the implementation process. We are buying their time in various stages of the project, and indirectly they are passively doing a testing, or they are not logging into the system and doing. We are showcasing the system and they are able to comment on it to give their observations. So passively they are investing their time into the project, so that there is no surprise at a last minute on the 5th month or the 6th month. There is not a surprise. They have been looking at the system already in different intervals. So by the time you come to the testing phase, the complexities or the number of issues that you get will be very much minimized. So that's how then we release the system to the client for testing, all the integrations testing, the user acceptance testing, whatever. And at the end of the realize phase is where we are done with the testing and we move into the deploy phase. So this is one difference where we see with any other traditional project implementations and the SAP's realize phase, in which we deliver in multiple intervals. And this is now demonstrated with 3 rounds of walkthrough, 3 iteration periods that can be even increased to 5, 7, any number of, it depends upon the timeline. So if your project is a complex project, it's you are doing it for 20 countries, like for Coca-Cola as a project, for 20 countries you are implementing, it's a complex project that's going for 1.5 years. They can have 8 rounds of walkthrough also. So every 45 days, if you are conducting a meeting with the client, in 1.5 years, you can have 8 rounds of meetings also. So that depends upon, so there is no fixed number of iterations. It depends upon the project plan they can decide it. So this is how the 2 important differences come, the explore phase and the realize phase, the way how it makes it unique in terms of the approach when compared to any other implementation methodologies in the market. Okay. Let me take a question. Yeah, Gopal.
So you mentioned that we will be only creating this document, like Excel document, no? So apart from this, no other document will be created for this implementation, SuccessFactors implementation.
So document means this is a requirement gathering related workbook. Apart from that, you can prepare user manuals, you can prepare admin manuals.
Okay.
Okay. So those are the
But for
manuals.
okay. But for the configuration and requirement gathering, this is the only document what we prepare in SuccessFactors.
We
Apart
prepare for requirement gathering, not config document. Remember this. There is a difference between requirement gathering and config. Config document is you have to maintain a document with the list of configurations you have maintained, the screenshots, all that. So that config document culture is not present in SuccessFactors.
Okay.
Requirement gathering, you as a consultant, you have followed the document and prepared the system, and they do the testing. So you prepare the test scripts, you prepared manuals, all this, but not a config document. Okay.
This is only referred as a configuration document, we can say this document.
So configuration document as a terminology is totally confusing. So that is a different document you will have. Requirement gathering document and config documents are 2 different actually. Don't mix up the things.
We don't use it here. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds good. And there is a question about what is a typical timeline for an EC implementation for a headcount of 5,000 employees and all. So for an employee central project, on average, if we have to say, it's a 8 months project timeline. 8 months is average. So there are projects that even go for 10 months, 12 months also, but most of the implementations, if we have to consider, 8 months is generally quoted. If it is talent modules, like performance, recruitment and all. So average is what we say 6 months. Sometimes project also go to 8 months for talent modules, but average is 6 months we see that way. Okay. And then yeah, there's a question. So we take the sign off from the customer on this workbooks. Yes, correctly. So once the requirement gathering is all done, every requirement is documented in this Excel sheet. So that Excel sheets is what we share it to the customer, and the customer will be giving an agreement or their sign off on that Excel sheet documents. Okay, that is the one. And then
Hi, Shiva.
let's 1 second, please use the process of hand raise. Just hand raise and wait. I'll call out your name. Okay. Yes, I'm just coming in a sequence that there are some questions in the chat to answer as well. That's why. And there is a question about data templates download will be available within SF. Yeah. So for what all data uploads I'm talking about, that we perform the master data imports of the client. So this data import templates are available within SF system. For example, if I have to upload the salary details of the employees, the personal details, anything. So whatever is the format is available within the SF system. We download the templates and prepare the data in that respective formats and we upload. So in our employee central discussions, we'll have almost 2 to 3 hours of dedicated discussion on the data upload templates. Okay, that is the one. And then, yeah, next we have Guru Rajashekar Reddy, sorry, Gunaraj Shekhar Reddy, please.
Yeah, sir. So after implementing, what kind of tickets you will get in the support actually in SF?
Yeah. So what kind of tickets we get in a project is like now example, the client has given us certain validation. Okay. So if that validation is not working, so example, employee have to apply a leave. If he has to apply a leave, he should have completed minimum 3 months probation period, else he is not allowed to apply a leave. If suddenly if that error is triggering, even employee has completed 3 months, still that error is triggering. So that is an issue they will raise. That is one. Sometimes the system might be allowing to apply leave even within 1 month. So that is an issue. Minimum 3 months he should not be allowed. So that is an issue that can be. Or sometimes permission issues. So I as a HR in the company, I should be able to do the employee promotions or transfers, whatever, where certain feature is not working. I'm not able to carry out the promotion process. That can be an issue they can raise, where we have to investigate the permissions of that particular HR user. Why is he not able to do? That way, visibility related, permission access related, the validations related, there can be multiple. Any requirement can turn out to be a support issue. So a requirement not working suddenly is a reason for an issue that way. Okay.
And what time, in what period we have to finish, complete the tickets are actually like P1, P2, P3?
That is all about project to project. It depends upon. So what kind of agreement the IT company is having with the implementation partner. So when they raise a ticket, if they are having a ticketing tool, so there are a lot of ticketing tools like Jira, they have ServiceNow, different ticketing tools in different projects. So in that they can have some priorities like high priority, medium priority, critical priority like that. So for each and everything, they have a agreed SLA period. So if it is a low priority, it can be addressed within 2 days. Medium priority within 1 day, high priority within 1 hour. Like that, they can have their timelines accordingly. The SLAs will be measured at a project management level.
Same like as a SAP methodology, P1, P2 tickets.
Anyway, that's common. When it comes to support, it is common. Nothing specific for SuccessFactors. Anything is the same.
Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Next, we have Naresh.
Hi, Shiva.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, as a consultant, we only collect the Excel sheet data or any apart from any other of team members or any team.
You are the consultant who has to work on. So you are the person who is going to do the requirement gathering. So there is no different people, as I already mentioned in yesterday's session. So SuccessFactors for one module, you are the owner. That's it. Right from requirement gathering, configuration, getting the configurations migrated from one system to the other, and finally go live of the project. You are the end-to-end show player. For every module, one individual consultant has to play the role. That's it. There are no other people supporting you in between. Okay.
Okay. So after hand out the project to the customer, then if any issue raises, then how it process? They hire internally or again they approach to our.
That's what, even that, as we discussed, when we have a project, it can be like implementation. Before go live is what we say implementation. Once the go live is done and we hand over the project, later on, whatever is the support whatever is the support we do is called a support project. Before implementation, we call before the project go live is called implementation project. After the go live is called support project. So in the support project is where, so the same team which participated in the implementation can be there, or it can be a different team that can be allocated. So this support team can support the project for 6 months or 1 year or whatever is the agreement between the IT company and the client. So in that support project, so whatever is the bug fix, whatever the issues that the client is facing, they'll raise it in the ticketing tool and this team will be working on that. So that way. Okay. Yeah. 1 minute, guys. Okay, so let me just pause the questions for a while and take it forward with the discussion. So now here, this way we have the activate methodology that will cover different stages, and each and every stage has its respective significance. So this is important for you to have an understanding of what happens in each and every stage. Okay, but all this is monitored and managed by the project management team. We as a consultant play the activities in each role. So whether everything is happening as per process within the timelines or not, planning those timelines. So planning this entire project plan with start date to end date is all the project management side. And just to give you an example of a project plan which covers all these stages, just a project plan just to fit into my window, I just kept it for 20 months, so 20 weeks, 5 months. So there'll be projects which will go for 8 months, 1 year, as I told you. So this way you can divide it. So the first 2 weeks for requirement gathering, and then from the third week they start to the configurations, in which they have the iteration period. For 5 weeks they are doing the configurations, and on the 8th week they are going in front of the customer for the first round of walkthrough. Then they come back to office, work on few more configurations for 4 more weeks, again second round of walkthrough, and 3 more weeks of config, and third round of walkthrough. That way we can have a project plan prepared. And once the 3 rounds of meetings are done, is where we can release the product for the client testing. So UAT stands for user aided testing. So user acceptance testing or user aided testing, we can say. So where the client is actually doing the testing and giving us the results, whether everything is working or not. So once everything is fine, they decided, they have said everything is good, then we can start moving the configurations to the production system. That is the last week, 1 week, we can copy all the configurations to production and get it ready. The end of the 20th week is where they can announce the go live. That way, just to fit the things into the 20 weeks timeline, I have just kept it this way, but most of the projects will go beyond that. So within 5 months, completing a project is not practically possible. So minimum 6 months, and that goes to 1 year also. So we can have it designed as per the available timeline. The project managers will be preparing this project plan. Okay, that is the way. So this is about the implementation methodology with all the different stages what we see in the real-time project. So in this process, we should also be aware of that important websites. So what are the important websites of SuccessFactors that we as a consultants during our implementation that we should be aware of? Is that? So three important websites at this stage to start with: Partner Edge, Customer Community, and Support Portal. These are the 3 websites. And the key point is, for all these 3 websites to be accessible, you should be certified on at least one single module of SuccessFactors. So if you directly go to this URL, you will be able to open the URL, navigate few pages, but few internal links and all to navigate, it will ask you to log in. Or even to download any documents from these websites and all, you should be able to log in. And to log in, you should be certified first of all. That is the way. And so what do we have from these individual websites is, so Partner Edge as a website is where you will get all those requirement gathering Excel sheets, the workbooks that we are talking about. So for every module, you get the workbook available to be downloaded from this website. And the different documentations, which are config-oriented documentations, which we call as implementation guides. implementation guides, like what is the process of the config of each and every feature in the system for every module. That module specific technical documents will be available in the partner edge. Something what a consultant can only understand, client can't understand everything in that. That are in the customer, sorry, they are in the consultant language, will be in the partner edge. So that kind of different documentation will be available in the partner edge for us. And then we have something called customer community. Customer community is a place where we, the consultants, will have the access, and also the client will have the access. If Coca-Cola is our client, Coca-Cola can also have the access to the customer community. But in the Coca-Cola side, who will have the access is the top level, the project management level top people. So less than 10 people will be having the access to the partner edge. Okay, not the end users, only the people in the client side who are involved in the project management level, top level people will have the access, and we, the consultants, will also have the access. So what can we do here is we get the documents in the customer language, which is the user manuals kind of a thing, the end user documentation, like how should you use the employee central for hiring, promotions, transfers, for various activities of a HR to be carried out. So what are the admin kind of a documentations that will be there? And there is one feature that the clients can raise some request to SAP in the customer community. So example, the client has started using the system. Now they are using it from last 6 months, last 1 year. So in this 1 year, they have some feedback saying that this particular feature is not available in SAP today. We want that to be introduced. Like that, whatever they feel that something is missing and they want to ask for it, so they can raise it as an enhancement request in the customer community. So they call it as influence request. Enhancement requests are called an influence request, where they can raise in the customer community. So those will reach to the backend product team. The backend product engineering teams will get those requests, and they can analyze those requests. And if they feel really that's a valid requirement that would be beneficial for a lot of customers across the globe, then they will be developing those new features and they release in the off-yearly upgrades. So every 6 months in the month of May and in the month of November, whatever are the new features that you're going to get delivered. So during that time, if this new feature is developed, they release that also. So that way, customer community is a place where the client can give their feedback about any new features and functionalities that they feel that is missing, and that will be a good advantage. They can raise it and SAP will evaluate it and they will work on it that way. Where we as a consultants can also raise that request. For example, I have done 3 projects. In all my last 3 projects, client is asking a particular feature. I was not able to deliver because it's not available. I can raise it as an enhancement request saying that, so every customer is asking this. So I can prepare a case study document. What is this reason? What is this request about? Why is it needed? What is the advantage of it? I can prepare a document and I can raise a customer and I can raise an enhancement request to the customer community. So that will again go to SAP. So that way, both consultants and the client can raise that enhancement request. But every time priority will be given to client raised requests. So that's why SAP will recommend to ask your customer to raise it instead of you raising it. That is the way. So this is the customer community. And whereas the last one is a support portal. Support portal is a place where you can raise some issues with the official SAP about any issues in the product. So if you say that you have configured everything well, as per the document, everything is configured, but still some feature is not working. Or there is a feature that has been already working from last 1 year, 2 year, everything it is working good. All of a sudden from yesterday, it has started giving some issue where we did not change any configuration, but still there is some behavioral change from yesterday that is observed. So these kinds of situations where you first do your analysis, but still if you feel everything is correct and we are not able to understand what's happening, then you can raise it to the backend, the official SAP support team, where the product team will look into the issue. So they will analyze it. If it is a really product issue, they will give you the fix or a workaround how to be handled. Or if it is really a product related issue, your config, because of your knowledge issue, it was not it is not being when it is not being addressed, then they'll clearly give us the point, where are you missing, what kind of an issue you are actually facing, the reason for that. They give you analysis, but they don't fix it for you. They just give you the analysis and they'll ask you to take it forward from there. So that way, support portal is a place where you can raise it to the official SAP team about the product level issues. that way. So these are the three important websites that as a consultant, one should be aware of during the project implementation phase. Okay. And as I told, to get into these portals, you should be certified on at least one single module. So when you're certified, guys, you will be issued with some S user credentials. S user credentials means SAP user credentials, we say. So that will be offered. So with that SAP user credentials is where you get the access into these different SAP portals. So at least you are certified on one single module, then only you receive that SAP user credentials. That's the point. Okay. And then let me take a question with Soumya.
Actually, customer has given some requirement which is not there in standard success factor. So you have raised as a consultant, we raised this issue to SAP. Okay, so if SAP has not given any solution till go live date, will this go live postpone or we can still deliver?
That is all about, you have to decide at that situation how critical is that particular requirement. Without that, can we operate the system or not, is what it depends upon. Okay. Definitely, if it is a product level thing, things have to change. So it's not an issue with the implementation partner, right? So you are working for IBM. It's not an IBM issue, it's a product issue. Then SAP will be dealing with when the Coca-Cola as a client will deal with SAP team, saying that now this is a concern from your product level, which is impacting our timelines, all that. They'll definitely do the speed up process. But still, if we can't meet the timeline, then obviously we have to extend it. So that's where nobody will be charged any penalty for it, because it's not an issue at client side or the IT company side. It's a product level thing that could happen. That's a rare thing, once in a blue moon thing. At the end of the project timeline that's impacting and all, that never happen. Because once you're done with the testing and for the deploy phase itself, we are having 6 weeks of timeline, like the deploy phase will be taking. So 6 weeks SAP not able to address the things, and that doesn't happen at all. Okay.
Okay.
And 1 second. Please keep your hand raised. There are a couple of things in the chat. Let me finish it off, guys. Just a minute. Guys, and I request everyone to please unmute yourself and ask your query. Raise your hand and ask a query. Please stop using the chat for lengthy questions. So if you keep typing the things on the chat for lengthy sentences, you will miss the context what I'm talking about. Okay. So that's why just keep your hands raised and I'll call out your name and we can practically discuss it as a dialogue instead of a chat message. Okay. So there is a potential chance that I missed some things in the chat actually. Surya, please be on mute until I call out your name, please. There is a background noise coming in. Okay, let me finish up the chat. Okay, so there's something, nothing I have to deal there. And now, Surya, please go ahead with your question.
So Suresh, we were discussing about these support projects, right? So do we have any multiple teams working on the support project? Because you were saying one team will be if the customer raises a concern, so this the support team will raise the tickets in the system and it will be the same will be forwarded to the so it will be the bug will be fixed. So do we have any front end team and the some team front ending and the other one back ending?
Nothing front and back end. Yeah, that's a team with before who are the consultants who are working before the go live or implementation team. People who are working after the go live are called support team, where it can be the same people working after the go live. So that then we call them as support team. That's it. It's not
Okay, no, no.
different.
If a person, if the client has raised issue in the system, then the support team will raise the ticket, right? So who will resolve that issue?
Support team is the people who are going to receive the ticket. SAP,
Yeah.
the client will raise it, not support team raising. Client,
Sorry,
you are user, you are using the system and you had an issue, you will raise
yeah.
it as a user. Support
Uh-huh.
team will address it by
Okay,
configuring.
okay. Understood. Got it. Got it.
Next, Ashwini. Ashwini, do you have a question? You're on mute.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Suresh, one more question. Like when we were discussing on the explore part, for example, some data migration is there. Like some client was using some another software application earlier, and now they want to have SuccessFactor implemented. So that
Right.
data migration, is there any specific team who would be taking care of it, or
Nothing.
how is
It will
that
be the
handled?
same consultants. Same consultants who are working for the project will be dealing with the data uploads also. You don't require a separate team for that.
Okay.
So everything, guys, just remember the statement. Anything is the consultant activity. There is no different team concept in SuccessFactors. Requirement gathering, testing, preparation of manuals, moving of configurations from one environment to the other environment, data uploads, permission setup, anything for your module, you are the responsible end to end. Okay.
Yes.
But if it is a complex project, too much of workload and all, you might be assigned with a secondary resource. Okay,
Oh.
2 consultants, 3 consultants might be working. That's it. But it is all same implementation team, no different team there. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
that's it. Sounds good. And now moving on, guys. So now we have got a lot of context into the product of SuccessFactors, its portfolio, the systems, navigations, the project implementation methodology, all this. Now that you have got, say, trained, you're certified, and you're into the SuccessFactors job, you landed in your first job, and someone has told you, now, Mr. Suresh, you are allocated to this Coca-Cola project. So now I joined IBM, and they have told me, Mr. Suresh, you are now allocated to Coca-Cola project. So that's where you have been assigned to your first project. Now, what is your first activity, the day one activity when you're allocated to the project? So how do you start the things? So that is what we are now going to start our discussion. The day one activities. Okay. So in that context, the day one activities level. So first thing is, so you as a consultant, how will you be able to contribute to the project is to configure the system. The consultant's contribution to the project is to configure the system. That's the main thing. So to do that on the system, to configure, I need the access to the system. So whatever provisioning system, instance system that we say, I need the credentials, the URL of the system, the ID, password, credentials, all that. So that is where the access to the system is the first thing that should come into my mind. When someone says I'm allocated to this project, so how do I access that system is the first question. So for that, there is an approach we have to follow to get the access to the systems. So first we'll start with the provisioning system, and then we go to the instance system. How do we get the access? So for getting the access to the provisioning system of the customer, there are little steps to follow. That is, first you should have an approval email from the customer. The team has to provide you an approval email, guys. So that approval email that you get is a standard format in which you will be receiving it actually, where to give you the approval email, the client is not going to write an email. It is not a manual email they're going to write. So they have to add your email ID within the SuccessFactors system in one place. Within the SuccessFactors system, in one place, your email ID has to be entered. So I'll just show you the tool. So that tool within the SuccessFactors system is called provisioning access. Manage provisioning access is a place. Let me log in into the instance. Give me a moment. Just a few seconds, guys. Yeah. So here on the top search area, if we search the keyword as provisioning, you get this manage provisioning access, the third line item, manage provisioning access. So the client can access the people who are going to get the access to their project's provisioning system. I'm again repeating, the client can manage the people who are the consultants who are going to access their provisioning system. Client can manage from this place, manage provisioning access. So this is a place where all the consultants who are getting the access to their system, their names will be listed here. So here, this is a demo system. That's where a lot of consultants' names are listed. So if a client has to give you the permission, so here on the right hand top, there is a plus icon. They can click on add, in which a pop-up comes. And here, just your email ID, your official email ID Like if you are an employee of IBM, it's like suresh@ibm.com, suresh@accenture.com, whatever. That official email ID of yours is to be entered. So where on your email ID, you will receive an approval email with a pre-formatted text. With a pre-formatted text in which the client name, some other details about the project, all that will be documented, and a pre-formatted email will be triggered on your mail ID. So that is the approval email that you have to use. So with that approval email, you can raise a request in this website called Cloud Operations Portal. HXM Cloud Operations Portal is a website in which you can actually raise a request to official SAP, where by attaching that approval email, what you have got from the client, and then once you submit the request, max 5 business days. Within max 5 business days, you get the access to the provisioning system. But 5 is very lengthy time. These days, they are releasing it on the same day. So within 2 hours or within by end of the day, mostly you are getting the access these days. So this is a process. So get an approval email from the client. So how do client give you the access? Is by adding your official email ID into the system in this tool called provisioning access. So then you get a pre-formatted email. So that email, as it is what you received, you upload in this cloud operations portal and fill some details and place a request. That request will be addressed by SAP's backend team, and they grant you the access to the customer's provisioning system. So how do you get that provisioning accesses? Again, an email is sent to you from SAP saying that you have been now granted to the provisioning access of this Coca-Cola system. So this is a URL, ID, password. So that way they send you everything in an email. With that URL, ID, password, credentials, you can log in. That is a simple process. But here, how does that cloud operations portal request screen looks like and all? I'll show you to you now. Okay. Before that, let me take a question. Yeah, Mr. Guna. Guna, are you there? Okay, let me move on to some other. Gopal?
I think this scenario is applicable if customer is already having the access to SuccessFactors system, right?
Definitely they will have it. So even the before project has started or not also, when you as a customer went to SAP and you paid the amount and you taken the license, the customer is already having one admin ID that they will be given. That system doesn't contain any configurations, just a system in which they can open to a few screens, in which this tool called Manage Provisioning Access is one of the screen that they can log into. One admin ID will be given to them already.
Okay, but they will not give access to provisioning. They will only give access to the instance when customer will go to the SAP first.
Exactly, because provisioning is a system every time accessible only by a certified SuccessFactors consultant.
Okay.
Client, even they are investing lakhs of rupees, millions of dollars, they don't get the access to the provisioning because they will not be the people who are trained and certified. They don't get it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds good. So now that document, so that provisioning, that cloud operations portal is something we can't live open the system wise, but I have a document with all the screenshots of the navigations, how that looks like. Just give me a moment, I'll open it. So this is the one. So once you get into that cloud operations portal, first of all, obviously here it will ask you to log in. So how do you log in into this portal once you get into that URL? Is again through your SAP user credentials that I told you. If you are certified on at least one single module, you get that credentials from SAP, S user credentials, with which you will be able to get into any SAP's website. Even this cloud operations portal is also a portal in which you will be logging in with that credentials. So once you log in, the first page, there will be some menu items on the top, in which the first menu item called operation request is what you have to click. In that, you get two things. In that, again, the first one, request forms is the one that you have to click. When you click on the request forms, then a screen comes up with a heading as BizX provisioning account mapping request. In that, again, the first link, customer instance access request is what you have to click. First menu item, first drop-down item, and again, the first link. That is the 3 steps you have to navigate. When you click on this customer instance access request, the form comes up. So which is the CAR form. So it is abbreviated as CAR, but people call it as CAR form. Okay. So care form is what we say, in which you will have a place to upload that approval email, whatever you have got from the client. At the bottom, there will be one place where you can actually upload that approval attachment that you got from the system that got generated with the pre-formatted text. Once you upload it here, the details on this application, 50% of the fields will be already populated. Automatically, the content will be read from that email and few fields will be populated here. So what fields are? So first thing is the customer name, like the Coca-Cola Beverages Limited, whatever the client name. Next, estimated go live date. This is something you have to manually fill. So when the project plan is prepared by the management, they tell you. So this is the project plan where we start in November and the expected go live is going to be next June. So that way the project plan will be given to you. Accordingly, you can give a date. So you need not be very much accurate. Some random date can be given. That's okay. Then the company ID. So this company ID is where, as I told you yesterday, for every project, there will be one unique ID that will be allocated by SAP for every customer who is purchasing SuccessFactors license. So for this project, whatever is ID allocated, that we have to enter here. Even that information is what client can help you. Then data center location. So as I told, every customer's database will be hosted in one data center. So now Coca-Cola's database is hosted in which data center? That should be selected here. So all the 15 data centers will come as a drop down here. It's a drop down field. So in which, whether the Coca-Cola's data center is in Singapore or it is in Saudi or it is in South Africa, we have to select that. Where that information also client will help you. So the ID what has been allocated for their project and which data center their database is hosted, client will be able to give us these details. We have to fill it. And finally, the company approver, like on the client side, who is the person that has given you the approval? So by adding your email ID into that manage provisioning access tool, so their email ID is what you have to enter here. So the client side person who has given you the approval. So these are the 5 fields that you have to fill in the screen. That's it, and go forward to the next part where here you have to choose which module you are requesting the access for. In this project, Employee Central, Recruitment, PMGM, 3 modules might be implemented, but you have to select the module for which you are allocated. If you are allocated for EC, you choose EC. If you are allocated for Recruitment, you choose a Recruitment. That way, you are requesting the provisioning access to deal with which module implementation in this project. You have to choose only that. And you should be certified on that module. If you choose EC and if you are not certified, system will immediately give you a pop-up saying that we don't find a valid certification on this module against your ID because you are logging into the system with some S-user credentials. So in that credentials, everything is recorded, which modules you are certified, everything. So when you choose a module in which you are not certified, immediately you get a pop-up saying that you are not certified on the selected module. That way, you should choose the module for which you are certified. And based on your credentials, already your name and email address will be auto-populated here. And then 2 more interesting selections are region of the project and location of the project. Region and location of the project, not your location, projects. That means, so if it is a US project you are doing, the region level here in the drop downs, it comes as a continental regions, like the North American region, APAC as Asia Pacific region, the Middle East region, like that. The continental regions is what you come as a drop down. So in this region, if it is a US project, you have to choose North America region as a value. Or if it's an Indian customer, you will choose the region as APAC, Asia Pacific, that way. So once you choose that APAC as a region, in the locations, all the countries of APAC, so India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Singapore, all the APAC, Asia Pacific related countries will come in the drop down. So from which this project belongs to which country, is a Singapore project or a India project or a Australia project, whatever, that APAC region is what you choose. That way. So that way, this is one confusing thing. People sometimes select their location. For example, you might be working for a US project, sitting in India, and you are doing the project. Sometimes people choose this location as India. Okay, so it should be the project related location that you have to choose, not your location. Okay, so if it's a US project, to choose US, not India, because you are sitting in India doesn't mean that. You have to choose the client related location. That way. And your approval email is, the approval email is what you have already uploaded. And optional, you can also upload your certificate copy. So when you are certified, whatever is the certification copy you have, you can also upload that, but it's not mandatory. By filling all this, you will submit the request. So this is self-explanatory, nothing complicated, just the client name, client data center, client side approver email, and which module we are implementing, all this basic details, easy to understand. These around less than 10 fields is what we fill and we submit the request. Once I submit it, so within the same business day or even within 2-3 hours, so SAP is releasing the provisioning access to the consultant. That is the way. So this is your day one activity. When someone says that, Mr. Suresh, you are allocated to this project today. So your first thing is, how should I get the access to that particular customer system? So to get it, you should first look for the approval email from the client. And once you get that email, then come into this cloud operations portal and raise the request and get the provisioning access. So I call it as a day one activity, but this will definitely not happen on day one. It can happen in the first week or first 2 weeks or 3 weeks also. It takes sometimes. But this is the first activity to start with. So why does it take 2 weeks, 3 weeks when we start the project is, first of all, if you have to get the approval email from the client, if you go and ask the client side manager to please give me the approval, why should he approve you? He don't know who is Suresh. Suresh of IBM is not, is an outsider for clients, for the client side manager. So until there is a client introduction meeting, so that the project team introduction meeting conducted and your management will introduce you saying that he is Mr. Suresh, he will deal with the employee central module in your project. He is Mr. Naresh, he will deal with recruitment module in your project. Until that client, until the team introduction has happened, client don't know who you are. So that meeting has to happen. Then you have to introduce yourself, and then you next minute you have to drop an email. So once you drop an email, again, client might take a couple of days to approve. They might not immediately approve it. So once they have to approve, then you get the email. Then you have to fill the form and submit the request. Like this, things can happen on by first week or second week or third week also sometimes. But that is the first activity that can happen when you start the project. Okay. So this is how you get the access to the customer's provisioning system. Okay. And how do you get the access to the instance system and all is the continued discussion. We'll look at that also in some time now. Let me take a question before that. Yeah, Moon?
Yeah. Hey guys, let us assume a customer has taken 3 modules and a consultant only has 1 module certification. Will he still get access to configure the 3 modules?
No, definitely not. You should be touching the system with the configuration areas for which you applied the provisioning access. If you are allocated for EC, you choose only EC module and raise the request. You will be dealing with only EC configurations. There will be a separate consultant who is allocated for recruitment. He will raise the provisioning request for recruitment. He will touch only recruitment configurations in the system. That way.
Understood. So if a customer has taken, assuming 3 modules, there will be 3 requests ideally that goes in, right?
Exactly. Every consultant has to undergo the same process. Okay.
Understood. Thanks.
1 second, please. Yeah, so there is a question. Are we ready? So is this Avyukt? Can you guys confirm?
Yes.
Okay. So Avyukt, the question is, now the point is the client might be having the project happening for the US region, Europe region, whatever regions. Point is, now they will have one headquartered location. Now, if you say Coca-Cola is available in, they have their operations in 50 countries. So we can't say that Coca-Cola is a Asian region project, it is a US region project. You can't say particularly based on the places where it is present. Where is their headquarters? Coca-Cola headquarters in US. So that obviously becomes a US project, a US region project. So where is the sales agreement happening? So the transaction, the business transaction between the Coca-Cola as a client and SAP is happening in which region? So it happens in US. If it is a Reliance doing the project, Reliance transaction will definitely happen in India because it's an Indian company. Okay. And next you take Hyundai as a Hyundai Car Limited. Hyundai is a Korean company. Their business transaction happens in Korea. So that becomes an Asian region project. That way, so where is the business transaction happening? The sales transaction between SAP and the business. So that is the region of the project. Okay, and the data center for that client will also be in one place. You might have your employees spread across 7 continents, but the data center will be only in one particular data center. You will not have your project spread across multiple data centers. So the Korean employees data is also in the Australia data center. US employees also is in the Australia data center. Like that, all employees worldwide related to that project, their data center will be only in one. It will not be multiple data centers. Got it?
Yeah, why I raised an issue is with one of our European clients. So they don't do have the data sitting in US or APAC data centers. So they wanted to specifically, while doing the audit, they raised this issue. That's why I just wanted to double check.
No, that's why SAP has brought up their data centers, right? So that's why SAP is, because of this GDPR, if you know that about this GDPR policies of
Yes.
European Union. So they don't want their databases to be going to in the other regions. So that's why SAP has made sure there is one data center in Amsterdam for all the European customers. They have their database within that. Okay, where even their employees of Australia, so if it's a German company, even if their employees are in Australia, the Australian employee record is present in the data center of Amsterdam, not in Australian data center. That way, the SAP has designed it. Okay. And even Middle East. So these days, Middle East companies are accepting this cloud concept and all. Initially, in 10 years back, 2014, 15, there is a lot of hesitation in the Middle East where they are not ready for the cloud-based and they are not ready to expose their data out of Middle East region. So that's where there is a database dedicated in Saudi Arabia that SAP has come up with to gain the confidence of the Middle East customers. That way.
Just an extended question. If the company is operating in Dubai and it's also operating in Germany, so they both the countries, they would like to have their data in their own data centers. So
No,
in that,
that's what I'm saying. That is not
login
possible.
is same. Yeah.
That isn't possible. It's only one data center for customer. And that data center is absolutely decided based on the sales transaction where it is happening, whether it is an Germany-based sales transaction happening or Dubai-based. Okay. So if it's a Germany-based transaction happening where the German headquartered company has contacted SAP and the payment has been made there, so that according to the German thing, they get their data center in Amsterdam. If it is the transaction happened through UAE, they get the data center in Saudi Arabia. That way. Okay. But as a consultant, we have nothing to do with this, guys. This is completely a sales level thing. So by the time you get involved into the project, all this will be completed. This is a knowledge point, that's it. But we as a consultant have no control over this. We have nothing to do with this. So we are the front-end application configuration team, where, as I already told you yesterday, where is your database present and who has decided that this database should be present in this data center. Everything is SAP and the client level thing. We don't get into that. Okay, and even client will not have a right to choose which data center they want. It is decided by SAP, and they have already designed that approach based on the local laws, according to the regional level laws. Okay. Sounds good. So this is about the way how you get the access to the provisioning. So once you got the access to the provisioning, as I told, an email will be sent to you with the URL, ID, password, and all. You log in into the provisioning for the first time. As provisioning is a system all about activations. So what are the minimum basic initial activations that you can do are these list of 5 to 6 items. Okay, so module specific, you will have few things. So for EC, what to be done, recruitment, what to be done and all. Once you have done your requirement gathering with the client, you have a clarity what to activate, what not to activate. But even before that, as soon as you get the access to the system, even before the requirement gathering sessions, some few basic activations can be made in the system. Those are these, and we'll now discuss what are that. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. So now, yeah, so let me just take one more question. Yeah, Pratisha.
Yeah, Suresh, just for the small question, it is for car form. If we have entered a wrong and wrong details, I mean, do we get a chance to revise it and correct it?
So that is a Okay, so that is basically a transaction here in this record, right? If you see this, so this is a list of all the IDs what the client has already granted. If the client thinks that this ID is a wrong email ID and we don't want this to be, so just select it and they can delete this entry from here and they again add in new entry. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
Simple. And then to show you the provisioning, so the place where we do that activations, just a minute. So provisioning and instance have the separate URLs, guys. They are not the same URLs, provisioning system and the instance system. So when you get the credentials of provisioning is where a provisioning related URL is what you get it first with the respective ID password with what you have to log in. And every time the ID will definitely be our official email ID itself. So suresh@ibm.com, whatever. So that itself will be the ID for the provisioning system. So I'm just logging into the provisioning in the background. Just allow me a few more seconds. Looks like there is some November updates happening on the system. So that's why it's a little slow because of the weekend maintenance happening and all. Yeah. So this is the provisioning system that once we get the access to the customer's provisioning system by confirmation email from SAP, with that credentials I log in, and this is the first page that I see, the provisioning related, the home page, in which now here you are seeing I have four systems, like the four projects I get the access, but for the first time when it is your first project, only one line item will appear. So over a period of time when you are being allocated to different projects by your company, so multiple line items will add up. But on the day one, when you start the provisioning usage, it is of only one particular project line item you get it. So to get into the provisioning, as I already told you earlier, you just click on the hyperlink, and get inside. Once you are into the system is where the very first line item company settings is a place where we do all that activations. And once you get into this company settings, as we have already discussed, you will have module related respective activations. That is one. The different module related activations will be there. The language packs, the different languages will be there. You can activate all the checkboxes. But irrespective of these things, some minimum mandatory things that each and every consultant has to be doing once they log in into the provisioning system for the first time. These are the minimum mandatory few activations to be carried out. First thing is language packs. That is pretty simple, that we already know. Next thing is profile V12. So profile V12 means what is profile is. So in the instance level, when we open anybody's record, so as I told you that you will have different sections of employee information and all that you can look at. So let me open that. So here in the instance system, when we go for my employee file, as we discussed that we'll have different sections of employee data from personal information, compensation, salary information, address details, everything. So this page where you host the entire employee data from the profile picture till the salary information, everything, So this is called the profile. So this screen to be visible on the UI, to be available in the system, is where we need an activation for that. That's what we say profile V12 as an activation. So what does V12 say is the UI, the version of the UI. So the current version of the people profile, the profile interface is the 12th version, where SAP is every time renovating the look and feel of it. And currently it is a V12 version going on. So tomorrow, if they again update it, they call it as V13. So that way the current version is V12, the version 12 of the UI. That is a profile. Next, permissioning concept, role-based permissions, the way a very important factor in the HR system, like who should have access to what data and all. The permissioning is important. So there is a permissioning framework that we have to activate, role-based permissions. So that is also something. So in the provisioning level, you will have it. So for the provisioning, okay, let me first show you the place where do you activate that profile V12 first of all. So in this place where you have these checkboxes, there's hundreds of checkboxes that you get to identify language packs. The first one, it is very simple. So once the checkboxes have started in the initial 10 to 15 items itself, language packs is there. It is easy to identify. But the other things what we say in this list of hundreds of checkboxes, it is very difficult to find it where it is. That's why it's pretty simple. Go to the top and do a search. Control F search in this page where you search with the keyword as say profile V12. So that profile V12 as a word, you see it is highlighted in different places. You should find a place where it comes with a checkbox adjacent to that. Here it is, profile V12. This is an activation, official activation point of that profile page. This one. Next, the third one is the permissionings, the permission framework I'm talking, role-based permissions. So for role-based permissions, you can again search. So you can just go to the top of the page. Just go to the again top of the page completely. And here search role-based permissions. So when you're searching for it, role-based permissions, you will have different places with that keyword guys. So because of the several places of role-based permissions that comes up, here finally, here is a keyword role-based permission that you have to activate. Okay, so you just have to, when it is coming for multiple, you just have to click on next, 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 and find the place where it is having an adjacent checkbox. So this is a place, role-based permissions that you have to activate. That is the permissioning framework is being enabled in the SF system. That is one. Next important factor is attachment storage size limit. Attachment storage size. It is not the entire database size. It is only about the attachments, like different kinds of documents that you are maintaining in the system. Their SF comes with a limit. So you have 100 employees, 1,000 employees, 10,000 employees. So whatever volume of employee data you maintain, there is no restriction. You can keep any hundreds of employees data, thousands of employee data. But in terms of the documents that you are maintaining against in every employee record, SAP has came up with a capping. So SuccessFactors is a HR system. It's not a document management system. It's not a DMS system. So in terms of having the proper utilization of this system, in terms of the documentation that we maintain, SAP has come up with a limit of 1000 GB per customer. 1000 GB of space to store your documents. It might be you maintain employees' national IDs documents, employees' previous employer documents, educational documents, whatever scan copies of the employees. We came up with a limit. Within that limit, you use it. Whether a customer is implementing one single module or implementing all 11 modules, the quota is 1000 GB per customer. That's it. Within the 1000 GB, you can utilize. So that's where SAP has come up with this limit of 1000 GB capping that we can set. And that is more than enough. So even a company with 30,000-40,000 employees also, they can't exhaust that 1000 GB, at least initial 10 years, they can't exhaust it. That's more than enough space actually, and that is SAP has given. So this is one thing we can set up in the system again in the provisioning level on the day one itself. Just search with the keyword as document attachment. Here it is, the section. When you search with this keyword as document attachment, the very first line item, document attachment storage allocation, it has three values, 500, 750, 1000 as a capping. So first it will be 500. Once that 500 is exhausted, then we can increase to 750, then 2000. That way SAP says, but there is no point in it. Because I am eligible for 1000 GB right from day one. Let me keep it to 1000 directly. So this 1000 GB capping will definitely not reach in initial 10 years, no chance at all. Because I've been dealing with SuccessFactors projects since 2015-16. Till today, I did not see any customer who says this has been exhausted. That's not simple. So 1000 GB is what we directly keep it. The problem if you keep it with 500 is this might be completed in say 5-6 years. Again, consultant has to come and update it to 750. Again, within 3-4 years, that might be completed. Again, the consultant has to come and update it to 1000. That way, instead of that, directly keep it to 1000 on the day one itself. So that at least for 10 years, you will not have a dependency of asking someone to come and increment it for us that way. And as I told, 1000 GB will never be exhausted. If really that situation comes up, SAP has given an approach where they can consult SAP, the client can consult SAP, and SAP will extend it for that particular customer individually on a chargeable basis. So within the official license cost, 1000 GB is what you get. Beyond that, if you want to go, it will be an additional cost that you have to pay. But mostly that doesn't happen. That's nobody comes to that situation actually. That is the way. So this is one of the things, attachment storage allocation, that you have to do. So these are the first 4 basic activations that as a consultant that you should do in the provisioning system on the day one once you get the access to the provision. After that, now it's the time to you concentrate on getting the access to the instance system, the front end system where we do all the configurations. Now it's time to get the access to the instance. And the good point here is for provisioning, you have to depend on customers' approval, raise it to SAP, all that. For instance, you need not go for anyone. Once you have the provisioning access, you are authorized to generate your own instance access. I'm again repeating, once you have the provisioning access granted, you are authorized to get your own instance access. So that is what this is. Create an admin user to access instance. So admin user is nothing but any person who has the configuration rights can be called as admin guys. Even a consultant is referred as an admin user because we have the configuration control in the system. So admin user means consultant also can be referred as admin user. So we creating our own credential can happen in the provisioning side. From the provisioning, I can create the instance system ID. So how do I do that is in the provisioning, again, going to the top, searching with the keyword as first name. If I search with the first name, here it is like, this is a section where it brings me, where I can give the admin username, that is with what ID I want to log in into the instance, like EC admin, PMGM admin, like that every consultant can create their own ID. So some username, some password, my first name, last name, my official email ID, all these things I give. And on the right hand side, there is a create admin button. Once I fill all this, I can click on this button. The ID will be created on the instance side. That's it. Within 1 minute, with that ID, a password, whatever I said, I can go to the instance and I can log in with that credentials. So that way, once you get the access to the provisioning system, getting the access to the instance is in your hand only. You can only create your own instance ID for yourself. And this is an activity that will be done by every consultant. EC, recruitment, PMGM, every consultant, where once they get the provisioning access, they will generate their own instance IDs and they log in into the instance. That is the way. So that is how you get the access to the both provisioning and instance systems on the day one. And day one is the initial in the beginning of the project. And later on, whenever your requirement gathering sessions are done with the client, module specific other activations, whatever you have to do as a EC consultant, what you have to do, or PMGM consultant, what you have to do, all that you will be dealing. But these initial 4 or 5 things are applicable for every module consultant. Everyone has to take care of these things. Okay, that way. So provisioning access, for provisioning access, we take an approval email from client and go to cloud operations portal and raise a request and all. This is going to be the responsibility of every team member. Same way, once they get the provisioning access, doing all these checks is also the responsibility of every team member. But end of the day, the point is, today as a EC consultant, I got the provisioning access. I done all these 4 activations. Tomorrow morning, PMGM consultant got the access. There's a 1-day delay. He got the access tomorrow. So he will also look for doing all these activations. But by the time he go to the system, he sees that already languages are activated. Already profile V12 is activated. He'll see because yesterday itself already I have activated it. So because everybody is going to get access to the same provisioning system, but it is important that everybody goes and checks this. If you are the first person coming there, you are activating it. If you are a second person, you see that it is already activated. That's it. But it is the responsibility of every consultant to go and cross-check as soon as they get the provisioning access, whether these things are taken care or not. If not, you do it. If it is already done, ignore it that way. And you generate your own ID. So every consultant will create their own IDs. So that way you can create your own instance side of the ID and you can get in. So this is how the day one activities look like. So how do I start getting the access to the provisioning instance systems and all? Any queries over here? Yeah, Shilpa? Shilpa, I think you are speaking on mute.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I just want to know this, all these activations are done based on the client basis, like for every individual client. It's not like once we join the company, we will do that and it will be stayed forever, right?
Yeah, definitely. Every project, every client means a separate project. So when you are allocated to Coca-Cola project, for Coca-Cola project system, you do it once. Tomorrow you are allocated to a PepsiCo project, second project. There again, you have to do in their system. This is a client system related.
Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, Pritisha?
Yeah, so for this admin user, for example, if a consultant or an employee is joining in the mid of the project, so any manager has to create for me, uh, or it will be created by me only.
Same process, nothing difference. You are starting in the beginning of the project or you're entering the project midway, anytime, same process. You have to approach the client side project manager. They have to approve, they have to give you the approval email by adding your ID in that provisioning access tool. Once you get that standard email, you go to the cloud operations portal and raise the request. Everything remains the same, nothing difference.
So, for example, if an employee is working into end user side, so how he will be getting the testing system or the credential for testing system?
That is a consultant will be providing that access, right? So in the testing system, development system and all, we are the owners. So anybody should get the access. We should be able to provide it. So as a consultant team, so tomorrow if the business side, client side, if there are 10 people who are going to do the testing, so for all of them, setting up the ID, passwords, giving the setting all the permissions for them and all the consultants thing. So that is a request saying that in the business side, there is a new employee who's joined. So we have to provide them the credentials to the testing system. The request comes to us. We as a consultant will create a user ID and we will assign all the permissions and give it to them. Okay. So how
And
user creation for the business side, the client side user creation is a different thing. This is not the way. So the way how we are creating the IDs and all, this is for admin consultants related. For a client side, for end user related access to be done, it will be directly done in the instance level. Within the instance system, we will have a place to create a new user and all. So that's what we'll see down the line. How do we do that?
okay, so
Yeah.
an admin user for each this module, only one admin user will be there, or multiple can be there?
Multiple can be there. It is client side, their choice, right? The client has to tell me how many user they want for module. There is nothing SAP to decide on it.
Okay,
Okay. Good. Then Varun.
Suresh, you
One
might
second.
be.
One second. Varun, can you complete your question first?
Yes, here, I mean, what is role-based permission here? What permission we have to take? Role-based means, is it about like employee role or
Any
consultant?
so role-based permission as an activation, that framework, permissioning framework activation only is what we have seen just now. But once you activate that, you should be configuring all the roles like employee role, manager role, HR role, HOD role. So what are the permissions that we should give it to all these kinds of people is the different roles we will be configuring in the system. So for that roles, again, there will be requirement gathering discussions with the clients. So for a general employee, what all permissions you want to give in the company? If it is a reporting manager, what additional permissions? If he is a HR, what permissions? All that is what we discuss with the client side admin team, the client side HR team, and we document it accordingly. We configure them. So while for configuring it in the instance level, you will have these places. You just search with the permission, you get this manage permission roles. Then this manage permission roles as a place, all that manager role, employee role, HR role, all that we configure it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Next. Yeah, so now guys, now that we have got the access to the provisioning, we were able to do the basic activations, and then I created an admin access for myself onto the instance side, and I was able to log in. Now, concentrating on the instance system, the main system where we have to carry out all our configurations. The first and foremost thing, the logo upload is what we have already done. So the yesterday all itself, we have just searched with this keyword as logo and we have initiated it. A basic cosmetic thing we have loaded. Next, what we can do on the home page is some customization of the home page, where what quick actions can appear, what should be the background, this image in the background of good afternoon, this building's image if we want to change. And here at the bottom, if I want to come up with some additional custom blocks and all, there is a customization of capability, but that will be taking almost 45 minutes of discussion. We don't have that much time now. So we will take it as a fresh topic on next Saturday. But now I will be going on to the next level things where we will utilize this next 20 minutes for understanding the standard existing tools, plug and play tools of SF, what we as a consultant should be aware of, which doesn't require a config, but still we need to be aware of such things. Example to start with. So tomorrow if the project is completed and we are announcing the go live of the project, so where we have to release the project to all the employees of the client. So client is having 10,000 employees or 40,000 employees. For everybody, we have to send a communication that the project is ready and they can start logging in. Everybody should be communicated with their own ID and password. So how do you do that is welcome email. You search with the keyword as welcome on the top search area. Send user welcome email is a tool that we have through which we can send that welcome email communication to announce the go live, where there will be a standard email content that will be ready, the subject of the email, body of the email, all this content, where we just have to decide to whom you want to send it. So you wanted to send it for all employees, all locations, all departments, everyone. Then you just click on directly search users and you can send it for all at a time. If you want to send it for a specific user, you can search for. So for one particular employee you want to send, you can search for that employee. Or you want to release the system as of now for one department or one location, you can do that. That way you have the filters. So what is the content that is going here is, welcome to SuccessFactors, your login information is. So what is the ID? What is the user ID with what he has to log in? So this will be a dynamic token. Everybody's ID will be different. That will be maintained in their employee record level. So when we trigger an email, so this token will be populated with what is that person's username. It will be read from the employee profile level and it will be documented and it will be updated. It's a dynamic token. That way, next with what password he has to log in. So that password also, we don't give any password. There will be a random URL that will be generated for every user. So set password URL is a token again, where for setting their own password, a unique URL will be generated for every user. So if they click on that URL, system will ask them to set their own password. So that way, so their login ID is given and their password is given. With that, they can log in into the SuccessFactors from next day. That is the way. So this is how a standard email content will be there, but this can be obviously customized. If a client says that if they want to add some write-up like, we have successfully completed our SuccessFactors project implementation and we are happy to announce the go live of the project. Now using the below credentials, you can start exploring the system, where the system can be used to download pay slips, apply leaves, like that. Whatever additional write-up they want to, they can definitely enhance the content, not a problem. You can come up with whatever content. And with that customized content is where we trigger the welcome email. That is pretty much possible. So that way you have welcome email as an option, where if you just search the keyword as welcome, this you will be able to come to this navigation, send user welcome email, in which you can customize the content and trigger it for the required people. This is the way. This is one. And then couple of other plug and play admin features are like reset user password, reset user account. So example, tomorrow once the people have started using the system, that is common that people sometimes forgot their password or what happens, something even sometimes with our Gmail or Facebook or LinkedIn or bank accounts, we'll have this forgot password happens. So when someone forgets the password, guys, first of all, on the login screen, you have a forgot password feature and you can try to recover it from that. But sometimes we will not be able to recover through that forgot password also. There might be some security questions or something. I'm not able to answer it. It can happen. So in that case, you will reach the admin team. So example, with bank account, you are not able to get your bank account password recovered. You will call the customer care and you will get this sorted like that somehow. Similar way here, the end user can raise a ticket to the support team. So they can either approach the HR saying that, dear HR, I'm not able to access the system, something, they can raise it to HR, or they can raise a support ticket to the SuccessFactors support team. So at that time, if we are a part of the support team, we can help that user by resetting their password, going for this reset user password as a tool. So it's again a plug and play tool where there is no config required. So we just have to reset the user password. So for resetting the password, there are two options. Reset individual user password with supplied password or just a reset option, two things. So with supplied password means, so example, if an employee called John Miller has forgot his password and if he approached us, he has raised a support ticket, then we can search for that user, select that user record, and we can enter a password, some SAP 123, test 123, some default password we can set, and we can inform him, now this is your password with what you can start using the system. So with that supplied password, when we give him, he will be able to use that password for the login for the first time. That's it. As soon as he use that password and login, system will ask him to change the password immediately. He can change it and now he knows his password. That is the way. That is a supplied password option. Or else, if you don't want to supply any password, there is a second option in which here also in the individual user password, if you search for the same person, John Miller. So here you will get that employee record, select that, and you just have a button called reset selected user password. You're not setting any default password here. You just click a button. When you click on this button, system will send out a standard email to that person's mail ID, in which in that email he will have a link. Clicking on that link, he can set his own password. So in the first one, I am setting the password and helping him. In the second one, I am giving him a provision how he can set his own password. So I just, when I click on this button, an email will be triggered to his mail ID. In that email, he will get a link through which he can set his own password. Say new password, confirm password page will come, he can enter that. That way, we have two different ways where we can support when you are part of support project. So if there is a ticket someone raised saying that we lost our password, you can help them with this process. Last option is like reset group of user passwords. So this is never going to be used on a same day. The groups of people asking you to reset their password will never happen. Maximum in a same day, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people might ask. In groups of 30, 40 people asking never happen. So mostly we use the first two only. That way. So this is resetting user password. Next, you can also have reset user account. That is, so if the person has given his password wrong multiple times, their account can be logged. That happens even in any website, even Gmail, your bank account, anywhere. Your account can be logged if you use the wrong password multiple times. So then to recover the account, they can reach out to the support team again, where to unlock the account. So if you just search for that user as a consultant, a support consultant, I can look for that user, and here the status currently which is showing in green color tick mark. If it is really logged, it will show in red color into mark. A red color into mark will show, which is indicating that this user account is logged actually, but currently it is not logged, this user. If it is really logged, you can just select that and click on reset selected user. That's it, the account will be unlocked, where you can start logging in now. That way, so if somebody's account is logged and you as an admin user to unlock it, you just have to click on this button, that is done. So this is also something, sometimes if they are not able to log in, their request comes to us. So if you are a part of support team, this request will come to us. If client is not having any support team, this requests are, all these are to be handled by the HR administrators. The client side HR admin team, they only have to deal with it. If there is a support team, this request will come to the support team. We the consultants have to deliver it that way. So both these tools are plug and play. We are not doing any config. It's just to use the tool of reset user account or reset user password. Okay. One second. Mr. Krishna, can you close your video? Thank you. So next thing is, now when we say that the user account is logged, when will it be logged? How many times? After how many times of entering a wrong password will the user account be logged? Is it after 5 times or after 10 times? We can have some settings set for that. So where do we do all that settings is, you have an option where you can search for password and you get this option called password and login policy settings, gentlemen. Password and login policy settings. So when you go for this, so here there are few options where you can set up the organization's password policies and all, in which these kinds of parameters like the minimum length of the password, maximum length of the password, the age of the password, all that can be set. And here to start with, so minimum length and maximum length is a common requirement in every organization. We can set it. And in the age of the password, the maximum one is what we commonly use, where like if you say example, if a customer says every 60 days, every 6 months, the user has to mandatory change his password, I can keep 180 days here. So like that, every 6 months, it is forcing me to change my password. After 180 days, it will say when I try to open into the system, a pop-up comes immediately to change the password. Until I change password, I can't go forward. So that way, maximum age of password is 180. We can set it. That is one. And here comes our parameter. Maximum successive failed login attempts. After how many failed login attempts your account should be logged? Here it is given as 5. So 5 times if a user is giving his password wrong, his account will be logged that way. Okay. And that 5 attempts is within 1 minute period, guys. So you can't change this. So within 1 minute, if it is 5 times wrong or 3 times wrong, whatever, you are setting it. The time period you can't change, but this number of attempts within 1 minute is what you can control. And then the characteristics like whether the password should be case sensitive or not. Should that contain mixed case like uppercase, lowercase, both characters or not? Should it contain alpha characters, non-alpha characters, numbers, symbols, all that respective checkboxes you have on the right hand side. So whatever features the client wants to have in their password policy, accordingly, we can enable, disable the respective attributes over here. And SFA also gives you a good feature that we can restrict the password to contain the employee's first name or last name or username. If my name is Suresh, if I keep my password as Suresh@123, it is easy to guess. So that's why SAP gives you an option. Password cannot contain first name, last name, or username. So I can activate these checkboxes. So if I activate this, if I set my password with my first name or with my surname or whatever, system will say that you can't set this password, choose another password that way. That is also a good feature. Then password history policy. So in most of the websites, you also might have observed this feature that if you are setting a password which you have used last time or last couple of times before, if you use the same password, it says that you can't use the last 3 passwords, you can't use the last 5 passwords, set a different password, it says. So that is a feature that comes up here. So enable password history policy. If you activate it, so how many passwords it has to remember? If I keep it 5, so my last 5 passwords it will remember and it will not allow me to use the same. If I keep it to 10, my last 10 passwords and it will be remembering or not allowing me to set the same that way. So maximum 10. Highest is between 2 to 10. Highest last 10 passwords it can remember. That is, so these are all quite a few password policy settings that we can have in any organization that we can set as per their requirements. Okay. So this is a place, password and login policy settings, which is an activity a consultant should deal with. So all these inputs is what we discuss with the customer in the requirement gathering sessions, and we set up. Okay. Yeah, Amol?
Yeah. Hey, from an implementation perspective, while we have a lot of forms to be configured at the time of implementation, do we have a list of forms line by line, which a consultant can refer so that he doesn't miss any configuration before the system hits the UAT or test environment?
No, we don't say it's like nothing like forms. It's all the different screens that come at different situations. And it's not that you are going to sit and configure. Everything is predefined available. We customize them. For hiring, what is a screen? For termination, what is a screen? For promotion, everything we customize. Everything is standard given. And that is all what in the requirement gathering document that I told you, you will have the required related tabs for everything that come up. Okay, you going through each and every sheet of the workbook document is where you make sure that everything is discussed with the client. And while you're doing the configuration also, we follow all those Excel sheets and we make sure that the requirement gathered in every sheet is addressed or not in my system. That way you can cross check whether you have completed everything or not. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. That's it, guys. So pretty good discussions today. So these are all the things for the agenda today, where, as I mentioned, the next week we'll be getting into the config level things. So in this sessions today, this weekend is where we concentrated on understanding the portfolio, the cloud approach, implementation methodology, how do you start getting the access to the systems, all this. Now that we got the access, how do we start getting up into the configurations is where next week will be, from next week it will be the configurations we start, where the platform level configurations, starting with say this page, which is the home page. How can you customize this home page, this configuration, followed by the permissioning. So when we say we can work on the permissions in the SuccessFactors system as a permissioning framework, how can that permissioning configuration look like? These kind of platform level things which are common for any module, those configurations is what we will start discussing in the next week sessions. Okay. So that way we will gear it up. By the third week, we enter into the employee central configurations. That way we'll gear it up in an incremental way. And we'll be working on the system access for you guys. So whoever has registered for the program and made the commercials and all, you'll start getting the system access. And I will also share you guys the assignments, few assignments that will be giving you a hands-on exercise to navigate in the system, how to navigate, what to touch, what not to touch. Few assignments will be shared for you that will help you have some hands-on practice in the system as well. Okay, most probably in a day, I'll be releasing all that to your mail IDs. Any other queries from anyone? Yeah, Amol?
There is last one from me. Where do I get, or a customer gets, the SuccessFactor roadmap?
What do you mean by roadmap? What do you expect in that?
What additional functionalities are scheduled to be released in the next release?
Okay, so that is something SAP will be sending out those emails. So whatever are the upcoming release related features, those are the SAP registered team members, like in the project management side, on the client side, whoever has their names registered in the SAP's agreement. So on those email IDs, SAP will be already sending out these notifications. Apart from that, the customer community. The customer community is a one-stop place where clients can look for anything related to that. So now today I implemented 3 modules. I'm in a plan of implementing 2 more modules. I want to know the features of those new 2 modules that I'm planning. I can go there in the community, and in the customer community, I'll get that. The client language, in a client language, what documents that will help our customers to understand the product features and functionalities, that documents, and the roadmap level, what are the next, in the next May release, what are the features expected, in the next November release, what are the features expected for next 1 year, what do you say, we call it as we call it as a roadmap. There is another terminology with which SAP will release a document in those websites. So all that is in the customer community is a one-stop place. Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Anyone else? Great, guys. So this is for now. So I'll be sharing you, you'll be getting the relevant documents and the recordings of this as well. So just keep revisiting it. If you want to look at any particular topic, revisit the recording once again. You guys have any queries during your preparation practice process anytime. So you guys can reach us in the email IDs through which you are already in touch with us. So whatever are your queries, you can drop us an email. And once you start configuration sessions, at that time, if you have any issue while you're configuring the system, you can give us a screenshot of what is the error you have faced and you can drop an email. So we'll respond to you. You need not wait till next weekend. That's my intention. So during your preparation process, whenever you have something, just reach out to us immediately, drop an email. We will look into it and help you with the respective response. You need not wait till next Saturday. Okay. That's the way. That's all for now. Thank you one everyone. So let's connect back on next Saturday again. Have a nice week ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
same to you.
Thanks, Suresh.
Okay.
Thanks, Shiva.